Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mr. Yates. We're going to start our Thursday word problem of the day. So let's engage hyperdrive and let's get started. Okay, I'm back at the beach now, and let's go ahead and read our word problem of the day, and then we'll go over our sentence, and then we'll figure out how to build a model for this one and solve it. Mr. Santiago has a flight from New York to Paris that covers a distance of 3,640 miles in 7 hours. If the plane travels at the same speed per hour, how many miles will it have traveled after 4 hours? Boys and girls, we've done this one before. It's a throwback, and I think we'll use a unit bar for our model. And we'll just go ahead and first start with our answer sentence. The question is, how many miles will it have traveled after 4 hours? So let's go ahead and put an answer sentence right about here. I'll make it a little bit bigger size text this time. So this time what I'll say is it will, or the plane will have traveled blank miles. So we'll leave some space for a blank. Miles after 4 hours. And that's a great answer sentence. All right, now what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and move over myself down over to here so I can make some space for my model. And I'll make some room here with my pen. All right, let's make a unit bar. So what I'll do with my unit bar is I will start straight down here. Oh, that just moves everything down. All right, so we'll go ahead and draw a nice straight unit bar line. All right, perfect. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to make a model, and my model is going to be based on, I should probably have moved down my word problem so I could read it. The model is going to be based on the plane miles. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and let's draw a unit bar to show my plane miles. That's probably good right about there. All right, so what I'll do now is I've got my plane miles, and I should probably add a little note to say what this is. So I'm going to write right here, plane miles. Okay, so I got my plane miles right there. Now I think I'm ready to start solving this. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read my first sentence. Mr. Santiago has a flight from New York to Paris that covers a distance of 3,640 miles in 7 hours. There's a lot going on in that sentence, boys and girls. I really don't need this part about Mr. Santiago has a flight from New York to Paris. I've already put in the plane miles. I do look here where it says 3,640 miles. That's the total amount of miles. So I really want to put that in, and that's the total I'm going to put here at the very end. And I think what I'll do is I'll just move over make a little bit more space. I guess I don't really have more space. So I'll have to write small 3,640 miles. Let me go ahead and put that in. So that's all the miles, 3,640 miles is a total. And I'll put that as total right here. And then I'm going to go ahead, and it also says 7 hours. I'm going to need that because I'm going to use that 7 miles and divide up my 3,640 into hours. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to make it as best I can here. I'm going to put this up so it's a little bit easier. And I'm going to divide this up into 7 pieces as best I can. Each piece is going to be 1 hour. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, good. So I divided my unit bar into 7 parts. And each one of those parts, boys and girls, is going to represent 1 hour. So I'm going to label that on here. This is, and I'll say this hour 1. And this one over here is hour 7. I have a total of 7 total hours here. So I could even put H1, H2. This one is H3. This one is H4, H5, and H6. All right, so we have 6 total hours. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to read the rest of my story problem. If the plane travels at the same speed per hour, which I've already put these hours into equal parts, so I'll cross that out. How many miles will it have traveled after 4 hours? So the question is, how many in 4 hours? So what I want to draw is a bracket connecting my hour 1 with hour 4. And what I want to do is I want to say, like, question mark is how many miles after 4 hours? So how many miles in 4 hours? So I've got my 4 hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to know how many miles that's going to be. So my expression, what I'm going to need to do with my expression is the first thing I'll have to do is I have to find out really how many miles are in each one of these little boxes. So I don't know. And so I'm going to call this one H. I'm going to call the variable here H. That means how many miles in each hour. We'll call each one H. If I know that, if I know how many miles are in 1H, 1 hour, then I can add up 4 of them to find out how many miles are in 4 hours. So what I'll do is my expression, I'll write down here. I'm going to be writing it as, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. I could say 7 times that mystery variable of H equals 3,640. Another way I could say that is 3,640 divided by 7 equals H. Now, I'm not quite done yet with my expressions. This is my first expression right here. And then my next expression to get the question mark is going to be over here. I'm going to move me a little bit so I can say that or show that. Let's put me right over here. And I'll just erase a couple of these things. All right. So what I'm going to do now is once I have H, oops, I shouldn't have erased all that. Once I have H, I'll keep on going here. Okay, try it one more time. Once I know H, then what I can do is multiply H times the number of hours I need to know, 4 hours. H times 4 is going to equal our question mark. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking 3,640 divided by H, or divided by 7, which is the number of hours, and that's going to equal H. And then I'm going to take H times 4 equals question mark. So I'm going to erase all this stuff here and give me some room to do that. So what I'll be doing is I'm just going to go ahead and take all this space out so I can show you what I'm going to be doing. All right. And I'm going to pause the video while I clear this all out so you can see what I'm doing. So boys and girls, what I did is I cleared out the video screen so that I can now solve this. So the first thing I was going to do is I wanted to remind you about the expressions I'm using. I'm using 3,640 divided by 7 is going to equal H. And then H times 4 is going to equal our question mark, which is the number of hours that the plane traveled in 4 hours. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be drawing out my dividing. I'm going to take 3,640 and divide it by 7. Since I don't have any lines, I really can't go sideways on this one. So I can't start with 3, but I can go to 36. 7 times 5 is 35. So 36 minus 35 equals 1. Drop down the 4. 7 times blank equals 14, which is 7 times 2. Then I'll go ahead and subtract 14 from 14, and that gets 0. I drop down the final 0 here, and 7 times 0 equals 0. And that means I have no remainder. Okay, so now I know that h, the number of hours or the number of miles that a plane travels in 1 hour, is 520 miles. I'm not done yet, because what I need to do is I need to take that h, which is 520, and multiply it times 4. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'll go ahead and pause the video and just clear out this last little part so I can multiply it a little bit easier and clearer for everybody. Okay, boys and girls, down here I marked that, move it back to where I was. Down here I marked that h equals 520, and the next step is to multiply h by 4 in order to get my question mark. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and multiply 520 times 4, because that's the number of hours that the plane traveled. So 520 times 4 is 0, 8, and 20. So now I have 2,080 miles. So I now know that the plane traveled 2,080 miles after 4 hours. And that's how we solve our Thursday and the final word problem of the day before our Friday word problem of the day test. And that's it, boys and girls. You are done with word problems of the day after you take that test. Thanks for checking your word problem of the day, and thanks for doing word problem of the days with me, boys and girls. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.